And you think about water. You know, we have a push here in California today for solar. That's great. But another one of the analogies I like to talk to folks is, isn't it funny? Solar, you can produce solar from about 7 o'clock in the morning to 7 o'clock at night on a sunny day. But when you need it, you can't ramp it up. It's there, and sometimes maybe you have too much energy. The irony is we're using petroleum and natural gas to back up some of those so that we can have peaking abilities when we need it, because we can't predict when in solar. But yet we have hydro. And anything less over 30 megawatts in California, because of a bill in Sacramento, any power plant that produces over 30 megawatts of hydro is not considered to be renewable. So if it's under 30 megawatts, it's renewable. If it's 50 megawatts, it isn't. Isn't that ridiculous? So especially today when we talk about climate change, we're going to have less snowfall, pretty obvious here this year. We're going to have heavier rain events, the potential for heavier rain events. That means you're going to have that water coming down through the streams, into the creeks, into the rivers. Potential for more flooding. We need more storage. We need more on-stream storage. They might be smaller impoundments, but something that can then get the water to off-stream storage. You want to talk about groundwater recharge? If you have heavy rain events, you better slow that water down long enough to recharge the underground. It doesn't just go down fast. And yet, when we think about hydroelectric, if you store water behind a reservoir, or that terrible four-letter word dam, if you want to talk about it in four-letter words, but we know a dam that stores water isn't a four-letter word, but for environmentalists it is. If you want to store it behind a dam, you have stored water where people can recreate in. Fish and amphibians and all kinds of wildlife can utilize it. They can swim in it, they can swim on it, they can drink out of it, but it creates habitat for a lot of wildlife. It creates recreation for people that want to boat on it, fish in it. It creates raft in it. It creates hydroelectric power. It creates drinking water when you need it. It creates water for manufacturing. It creates water for growing crops. It's ridiculous to think that today, in a state of 38 million people, we are surviving on a water infrastructure that was designed for 18 million people. We need to change our water infrastructure. And one of the things that's really slowing it down is the biological opinions for the endangered species. And now here we have a Delta Smelt and we have a salmon that the environmentalists say have to survive the same way they've been surviving for the millennia. And yet we as man don't survive the way we survived by millennia. We now drive really nice cars. We live in air-conditioned and heated homes. We use iPads and iPods and iPhones and all these other little things that we have. We can create our food when we want it, we can refrigerate it, and yet we think that organisms that live in the environment should live the way they have for a long time, and we just have to stay away. We can help the salmon. We can make sure that they don't become extinct. We can help the smelt. But unfortunately, the environmentalists are saying, no, they have to do it the way they've been doing it forever. Well, that's just flat wrong. Unless people want to don fig leaves and live out under oak trees and catch whatever they can catch to survive, then they shouldn't be using a different set of standards for Mother Nature. We need to help Mother Nature survive just like we helped ourselves survive. And if we're going to use two different criteria, it's going to be very bad for humans in the long run, because we can't have it both ways. We have the technology to get the genetic, and I'm not talking about going out and using hatcheries where we know that poor management over the years has reduced the genetic diversity within the salmon species. But today, with mist incubation and new technologies, looking to the fish biologists that are really smart, how can we mimic what happens in nature? And we can do that, and we can help populate salmon into our rivers again. It's been shown to be doing it. Is it as natural as two salmon coming up and mating and then laying those eggs in a gravel bed? No, it's not. But then again, the demand on our Mother Earth, our demand on our state is much different too. But until people that are sitting here saying that nature has to exist away, then get out of your car, start walking, get rid of your clothes, don't live in a house, and don't go down the store to get your food. You know, don a fig leaf or a loincloth, whatever you want, move out under an oak tree and survive on whatever Mother Nature gives you. But people are unwilling to do that. And so don't think that Mother Nature can survive the same way. We can have a strong environmental, we can have strong species, protection of the species, and people too. But if you're going to sit here and say we're not going to allow water to go south because we're worried about the survivability of smelt and salmon, we can sure make sure those salmon and smelt survive. Will it be different than what they have over the millennia? Absolutely. Just like it's different for us. But we can make sure they can survive, and we can make sure and have the water to go south. But we just have to get the political mindset. And that's why getting those pins and spending the money for political action will get it done. And if we don't, we have nobody to blame but ourselves.